Key, you have talked about how the veterans will let you know who they prefer. And the veterans have been pretty clear that they're pretty high on Justin Fields. And Dalton does acknowledge that. At least he acknowledges it, which he should. This guy's going to have his time. But he's saying it's my time right now. How would you react to hearing something like that?
I just would be like, yeah, okay, be careful what you wish for. I mean, he's saying it's his time right now. Well, what makes you think it's your time? Because prior to the draft, you signed a 1-year deal for $10 million, and you basically became the starter based on that in default. But now it's a different game because they drafted Justin Fields, and people are looking to put Justin Fields in. What I would say about this, as I've said before, I discount last year for Andy Dalton because Dallas was just not very good for nobody.
Offensive line was
it was just bad for everybody.
Yeah.
So let's just discount that. Last couple years in Cincinnati, he didn't play great. That's why they moved on and drafted Joe Burrow. But his time ran out in Cincinnati. Can you win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton? Yes, you can win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton. But will Andy Dalton play well enough if he's the starter to finish the entire year? I don't know that. The reason I think you can win a Super Bowl with him is because if the defense is lights out,
right,
and he's efficient on offense and not turning the ball over, you can manage that and get there. And all he has to do is hit the targets here and there. And that's it. He doesn't have to be a 400-yard-a-game passer. Doesn't have to do it.
You would need a strong running game, though, right? If he's going to be a game manager,
well, I wouldn't necessarily call it. I wouldn't necessarily call it a game manager.
Don't turn the ball over and
just
keep it
more
simple.
efficient and simple. Just look at guys that have won the Super Bowls and what they've done in those Super Bowl games, or even what they've done in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, in the Super Bowl, you're rarely going to see a 300-yard performance.
Just efficient.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, greatest quarterback, 200 yards, bare. I think it was 201, 3 touchdowns. Guess what he did do? Give the ball to the other team.
Right.
Guess what he had behind him? Fournette and Ronald Jones. You look at Patrick Mahomes. The year prior to that, he threw for 240, 2 picks, 2 touchdowns. Numbers wasn't great, but he won the Super Bowl. You look at Russell Wilson when he won. I mean, you just look at all those sort of things leading up to that. You can be efficient. We had Ron Rivera on early in the year, and he talked about his defense and why he chose Ryan Fitzpatrick, because he thinks, based on that formula, you can be successful and get to where you're trying to get to at the end of the day. And I believe that. But can Andy Dalton hold off Justin Fields? Because the moment he makes the littlest mistake, he's going to come sit over here with me.
But doesn't this make you feel like again, Dalton is not the one making the decision, but the way he talked makes it pretty clear that, no, I want the starting job. And
he should want the starting job.
Well,
everybody wants to be the guy.
All right, but the point I'm making is that we have been debating the idea of what the Bears should do in this situation, and people might want to see Fields start the season, but it does make sense to begin it with Dalton, as long as he's fine.
Serviceable.
Yeah, serviceable.
Yeah.
I don't think can you make this decision based off preseason? And if you are trying to make this decision based off what you see in the preseason, keep this in mind. Justin Fields now has a groin issue. They held him out of practice. They play Saturday afternoon against Buffalo. Is Justin Fields going to play this weekend? Is he going to get to play a lot? Is he going to be hampered by the groin? This all could change things. And also the Tevin Jenkins injury, the left tackle. We've talked a lot about their offensive line issues at left tackle. They signed Jason Peters at 39 years old because obviously that's a really important place, left tackle. So where are they as an offensive line? Where is he, Justin Fields, physically going into this game this weekend? That's all stuff you have to certainly keep in mind as this decision is going to be made. So when he says his time's coming, this is my time could be, okay, September. Now it's no longer your time. It could be quick. It might not be something that lasts that long.
That's why you got to be careful, though, if you Andy Dalton. Because, you might get the first couple preseason games, and then that's it.
And that's your time.
And that's your time.
Time's up.
Or you might go into week 7 of the regular season, and your time's up.
Yeah.
You just got to.
Team performance is really going to be what decides
Yeah,
this, right?
yes.
Like if the team is playing well, you don't touch it. But if the team just looks like it's sputtering, then you bring the kid in.
Well, because you do what the Baltimore Ravens did with Joe Flacco.
Yes.
You look up and you got a guy, you're like, nah. You go back to 98 with me and the Jets. You go back to 98 and Glenn Foley was our starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And Vinny Testaverde was standing on the sideline.
Right.
And we all knew Vinny was the better guy.
Remember the game?
But the commitment was already there for Glenn Foley because he was in camp. He had done well enough to hold him off.
Right.
But we could just tell, it's like, nah, the other guy should actually be the one playing.
Yeah.
And then eventually, Vinny took over, and the rest was history that year.
And he took over because Foley got hurt. I was covering the team back then. And I remember the game against the Ravens, which coincidentally, that was Vinny's former team. He didn't play. And Foley didn't look good in that game. And Vinny, I think didn't Foley get hurt, and that's what gave Vinny, that opened the door for Vinny to play, and then he played well?
It was easier for the coaches to make the decision.
Yeah, but this is the reverse because Foley was the young guy and Vinny was the veteran.
I'm not even talking about age. I'm just talking about two quarterbacks that
One
a
fits
team
better than the
feel
other.
like the other guy should play.